And welcome to our first VirtualQ Protect and Archive event. My name is Eric Bass here. I run product and technical marketing here at Quantum. And I'm happy to introduce our first guest for some welcoming remarks, Mr. Jamie Lerner, our president and CEO. Jamie, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Eric. Welcome, everyone, to our VirtualQ. It seems like everything's virtual these days. But a couple of months ago, I had a pretty unique opportunity. Quantum celebrated its 40th anniversary, which in the tech industry is pretty rare. And I had the opportunity to sit down with our founders, the founding engineers, the founding CEO, the founding CFO. And, you know, what I found so striking was not just that we'd been serving the enterprise and CIOs and IT for 40 years, but that the founding principles and culture of the company were entirely intact. You know, the culture of customer service, the culture of innovation and creation and creativity, and giving our people the freedom to create. And most striking was the culture of perseverance, of hard work, of just getting things done, even though it's not always easy. And, you know, I probably didn't appreciate that as much until recent events. I think it's been hard on everyone to have, you know, a global pandemic followed by social unrest and all the pressure of working from home and trying to keep our businesses running. And it's been pretty amazing to watch our, you know, global employee base, you know, transition to working from home without really missing a beat. We've launched new products while we've been working from home. We have, you know, over 200 support professionals around the world that are handling support calls every day. Our factories that haven't stopped shipping. We've managed to distance our people, and it was really validating and really felt great on Friday when we got added to the Russell 2000 largest public companies. Just incredible validation of the turnaround work we've done and the culture that was laid down, you know, over 40 years ago. Eric, next slide. I wanted to talk a little bit about our evolution. About 2 years ago, we started some very focused and intense turnaround work in the company, working across many dimensions. Innovation, you've probably seen the pace of innovation has gone up significantly with the launch of the F2000, the F1000, video surveillance, cloud-based analytics. And as part of the development of the company and the expansion of our product lines, we've moved to a general manager model. And the basic goal is to move decision-making further down in the organization, to empower our people to make decisions, particularly people who are closer to our customers, spend more time in the field with the customers, trying to get the company much more aligned with the industry. And I really want to announce two pretty special individuals. One is Ed Fiore. Many of you have known Ed for many years. Ed was part of the founding team at Isilon. Ed ran all storage at Dell prior to the EMC acquisition. And most recently, he was leading a founding team that was building a completely next generation file system and took 4 years out and built what they believed to be what, you know, the next generation system to an Isilon or even a StorNext would look like. And we acquired that company and we've asked Ed to run our primary storage business, which includes StorNext, video surveillance, the R series. And we're incorporating a lot of that technology that we acquired into StorNext to just drastically accelerate our roadmap. And it's really great to have Ed here. And Ed's peer in the secondary storage is Bruno Hald. Bruno is running the ActiveScale business that we acquired, our object storage business that we acquired from Western Digital, along with our secondary products, our Scalar line of products, and the DXi products. And they are effectively have full P&L responsibility and run those businesses really tail to tip. Next slide. You know, we're doing all the things we're doing, introducing new products, reorganizing, accelerating our business, really to chase one goal, and that our goal is to lead in video and video solutions. And we know that is a somewhat audacious goal, and we have to do a lot of work to get there. But we're doing it because we know that roughly 80% of the world's data by 2025 will be video or video-like, something like video, certainly unstructured in nature. And we know that that data has to be handled differently. And we also know a lot of the leadership position is going to be in and around software, data management software, cataloging software, searching software, indexing software. And we're making deep and profound changes to not just be a company that houses and stores unstructured data, but gives all the management tools that are needed to handle very large quantities of this much different kind of data. And this data, it's harder to search, it's harder to index, it's harder to know what's going inside a 10 hours of LiDAR data or 20 hours of radar data, or, you know, years and years and years of news archives, or years and years of just unstructured log data. Searching it, analyzing it is just very different, and that's deeply where we're focusing. In addition, we're starting to deal with the major trend change where backup, nightly backups, is more and more morphing into archive. And Eric, if you advance, we'll talk a bit about that. You know, unstructured data is all around us. We used to deal mostly in the enterprise with, you know, database information that's in structured rows and columns, Word, Excel, PowerPoint documents. But increasingly, the enterprise is dealing with video surveillance data, log data, historical data from things, and those things could be cash registers, or those things can be sensors. You know, automakers are dealing with autonomous vehicle data, which is very different, and life sciences is dealing with X-ray and MRI and genomic data. And this unstructured data is very different. And if you go to the next slide, Eric, increasingly what we see is this data has a life. Very often in the corporate enterprise, you would have data that begins its life and ends its life in an Oracle database or a SQL Server database. Increasingly, unstructured data, it moves around a lot. It may be created on a video surveillance camera, and then it moves into a high-speed storage system so it can be ingested, and then it might be analyzed, looking for license plates, or maybe analyzed looking for shopping behavior, or trying to find the face of a known criminal, or analyzed in some way. And then key data, maybe loss prevention data, someone slipped and fell, may be archived for many years, and that may move to the cloud, or it might move to tape, or it might move to object storage. And so data is moving more between systems more often, and that requires different technology. And then when it's kept for many, many years, it's it's backed up in a way, but it's really archived, and it's archived in a way where it's copied many times and protected in that way. And so really, as unstructured data gets larger, the way that it's kept almost becomes its backup versus it having a separate backup system. And we're really seeing unstructured data really moving from, a good example is video surveillance is rarely backed up at night. Very rarely it's done. It's just where video surveillance is stored, it's stored in triplicate. And it might be stored at multiple locations. So the very underpinning storage system keeps it at 3 locations. Maybe keeps it at 3 locations and a copy in the cloud, or the copy at 2 clouds. So it might be at 5 locations. And it's that data protection becomes the backup. And we are committed to leading in these newer architectures. We've been working with the largest cloud companies, the 3 largest in the world, as they've, Amazon doesn't back themselves up every night, right? They have 50 exabytes of data, and they don't run a nightly backup job. It just isn't how large enterprises behave anymore. What they do is the way they store the data, the way they tier it, that it might have a tier on flash, a tier on disk, a tier on tape, provides protection. And those tiers may reside at multiple locations. So they may say, we're going to erasure code the data to shrink it, and then we're going to store copies of it in multiple places. And that in itself is the backup and data protection. And we are building a lot of software in those areas. Our ActiveScale product, as well as certain data management tiers and tiering that we're coupling with that, is a big part of what we are doing. And the ActiveScale acquisition is really our announcement of our intentions to build these more cloud-like archive systems. And we know that IT is changing, and that's forcing us as a company to change ourselves in pretty significant ways. I talked a bit about batch backup moving to archive, where it's protected just in the very nature of how data is stored. We're moving ourselves from our products that were very designed around a nightly backup system, nightly incrementals, a weekly full backup and restoration. Our architectures are moving more to this archive style of data protection. And then once you're archiving hundreds, thousands, millions, or billions of files, creates a new problem, especially when that data is tiered, where some of it may be in high-speed NVMe, some of your files may be on disk, some on tape, some on cloud, some on multiple clouds. It now creates the need for a new kind of software, which basically answers the question, where is everything? What do I have? Where is it? How many copies of it do I have? How protected is it? How fast is it? What is it? If it's hours of video, what's in that video? Or if it's unstructured data, a genomic sequence, or a log file, well, what's in that log file? How relevant is it? Give me some metadata to tell me a bit about it. And that's really the driver of us joining forces with Ed Fiore and the Atavium team and the Atavium IP, which is really about the importance of data classification. It's not just, hey, I've got your data stored, we have it archived, but classify it. What kinds of data? Where did it come from? How do I find it years later? How do I know if it's something that's in a very cold storage system that's very slow? When all of a sudden that data becomes topical again, I've got to warm it up, move it to a faster tier, and then again, as it's not important, lower it to the other tiers effectively to save cost. How do I automatically understand that through classification? And a lot of that is about the world moving from kind of file and block storage, which are high-speed tiers to more erasure-coded object storage in the slower tiers? And then can we make modifications to object storage for it not just to be a cheap and deep tier, but actually be a performant tier? So we're doing work to run our object storage on SSDs and NVMe to tune it so that it can operate in a performant mode and also in a cheap and deep mode based on how it's configured. And all of this is happening in a context where we're moving away from appliance-based solutions, hardware-based solutions, to all of Quantum's answers are mostly being packaged as software, giving you different choices of where you want to put that software. What vendor's equipment do you want to put it on? What speed and expensive equipment do you want to put it on? And allowing us to basically say all of our technology is software defined, and then we'll provide reference architectures about where you can place it. I think that gives you a lot more business architectural flexibility as well as technical architectural flexibility as we reshape our business. Eric, you may want to talk a bit about our roadmap and where we're going and where we're taking these technologies.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. And for everyone out there, we do have a great show planned the next couple of days, and we're going to be talking more about everything that Jamie talked about in his keynote and welcoming remarks, as well as our solutions both for data protection and archive that we're really focused on this year. So we're going to be talking about everything from our high-speed backup appliances with DXi. And I think in today's climate, one of the big drivers for investment that we see there is really about reducing infrastructure costs. I mean, we're hearing that has a renewed sense of priority for many of our customers, especially in enterprise IT. So we'll be talking about our solutions for that. As we look forward to that product line, we're moving toward offering hybrid cloud data protection. And of course, we're also moving to those software-defined architectures that Jamie talked about. Over the next couple of days, you'll be hearing a lot about our solutions for preserving and protecting large unstructured data sets, the recent acquisition of the ActiveScale object store business, and our belief in the importance of object storage and erasure encoding for the data sets of tomorrow. And I think we're seeing interest and opportunity there where for many customers, object storage is kind of the new tape. Many customers are using it for long-term retention and compliance of their backup data, but also for very large data lakes that need to be analyzed and different forms of unstructured data in the enterprise, as Jamie talked about. And lastly, you'll be hearing a bit about our roadmap and our plans around that, which Jamie alluded to, where with the software that we now have, we're able to build very large-scale on-premise archiving solutions or cold storage solutions, similar in architecture to what is used by the world's biggest hyperscalers, with the goal of making these, very, very large archives both protected but also classified and searchable. So that's just a little bit of a taste of what's coming up over the next year. For those that haven't, as I said, we have a great show planned the next 2 days. Not only will you hear more from Quantum product experts and technical experts on kind of what we're focused on, the trends that we're seeing, but we'll be sharing perspectives in the industry from some of our partners, including Veeam and WEC.io. We'll be talking about our latest solutions, both for traditional backup, for large-scale archives, as well as for video and unstructured data. And one of the things we're also seeing, as evidenced by this call and this virtual event, is we believe we believe that COVID will be an accelerant for the growth of video in the enterprise, something that we've been doing for many, many years. So I think it's something that will become increasingly relevant even to those of us in enterprise IT. We'll be talking about tactics and practices for protecting against ransomware. We've got a couple sessions on that. A focus on reducing backup footprint and spend. And then actually the next session that I'm personally presenting in a little over half an hour is what it means for your infrastructure as you think about this future where 80% of the data that you're managing is machine generated, unstructured in nature, and kind of has those different life cycle characteristics as Jamie described. So please register for these events, and we'll be following up with everyone. Thank you very much. And Jamie, I'll turn it over to you just to maybe do a couple of concluding remarks. I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I just want to thank everyone for joining today. Also want to encourage everyone to stay safe. We're still at the tail end of this pandemic, but I got to just share with everyone that I really think we've seen the best of our companies. I think we've seen the best of our society as we've managed through these interesting spring and summer of various crises. But I will tell you, I'm incredibly optimistic, not just about quantum, but I'm just incredibly optimistic in general. I think we're going to see our companies rebound globally. I think we're going to rethink how we work, and I think we're going to rethink how we treat each other in society. And if there's any silver lining about the difficult period that we've all been through, I am convinced that both corporations, communities, and individuals are going to come out of this stronger, more informed, and in a more prosperous way than I think we ever imagined. So with that, I want to thank everyone for joining and look forward to speaking further as we get into the VirtualQ session.